Good evening, folks. Oh, I've got a cable stuck. There we go. Yes, good evening, folks. How are we all? It's 4 minutes and a bit, well, 3.5 minutes to 9 o'clock. Yes, and we've got a little bit of pre-show for you. And I've just noticed a tweet from Dave Dawn. As Dave last week on the Hayes Hour did some stuff with the tweet machine, I'm going to do it as well this week. It's part of YCast 6, so you can tweet the show live using hashtag VaperScene, and I will pick the tweets up as they appear. And as Dave says on this tweet, if I can click on it, there we go. Michael's shirt is definitely pink, not fuchsia, not cerise. It's not pink, it's orange. It's orange, yeah. Anyway, so that's what you can do. You can tweet the show live using hashtag VaperScene, and while the videos are playing through, you've got some comments, then I'll be able to put the comments up in a good way, yeah. But please keep them clean, if you would. Anyway, so who's in chat? Let me just refresh chat. There we go.
I don't know. I appear to have broke my...
No, Gary's broken his PC. We've got Pete and Sprotty and Dave and Davey and Jan and Chief and Sav and Don and Martin and Monster and Dave K. Hello, Dave. Rob and Max Drum. And me. That's me, but I'm not logged in. Yeah. So, yes. Here we go. 2 minutes till we go live. Hello, Sprotty. Oh yes, Mina's in the house. Hello, Mina. He'll probably abuse me in our team chat now, but there you go. It's all good. Yes, we've got about a minute and a bit to go before I put the bug on.
Cool.
Yeah, well, 45 seconds. Anyway, say hello, Gary. Hello, Gary.
Hello.
You're on screen,
yes,
mate.
I am. Excellent. Yeah, sorry, I'm breaking stuff in the background.
Don't break anything.
No, I think it's come back now. Yeah, we're trying our own production tonight.
It could go horribly wrong. And my kind of disappearing mug, which is green, which is really strange, isn't it? But there you go.
Yes, yeah. This is interesting, to say the least.
Anyway, right, we've got about 15 seconds, and I'm going to put the bug on for the last minute before we hit 9 o'clock. So hopefully everything will work okay tonight. I'm using a different version of YCast tonight, and Gary's in control, so it could all go horribly wrong. But let's see, shall we? Right, bug is going on. We will see you at 9 o'clock. Well, good evening. And if you weren't watching 3 minutes ago when I said hello, we're back. The boys, yes, it's Marco Van Basten and this man here, that man there, Gary Dibley.
Good evening, everybody.
For this week's show. We've got all sorts happening tonight. Yes, different version of YCast, and also Gary's in control. So you never know what's going to happen. And as I said pre-live, you can tweet the show using hashtag VaperScene. Dave did this last Thursday on the Hayes Hour, so we thought we'd do the same thing tonight, which is a nice little handy little bit on YCast 6 that lets us pull tweets in. And I can see we've had a few already. Mr. Dave Dawn reckons that my shirt is definitely pink, not fuchsia, not cerise. And let's see what else we've got here. Yes, well, Big Dave says orange is the new pink. Oh dear. Anyway, so you can tweet the show, as I said, during the show. When the VTs are going through, you can tweet your comments and we can pick those up as they happen. So please make use of this facility. Yes. Anyway, let's crack on with tonight's show. And we have to do that by first of all saying you're watching VaperScene on Vapor Trails TV. VaperScene is proudly sponsored by Health eVape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. Yes, good evening, good evening. It is about 3 minutes past 9 now on, I said Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Honest, the 28th of, 28th of October 2014, and it is well dark out there. Oh, with the clocks going back at the weekend, it's now just so dark. Isn't that right, Mr. D?
It's horrible, isn't it? It's an hour, but it feels like you've lost a leg or something. It's sitting in work watching it go dark. Just it should be illegal as far as I'm concerned. It's not good.
No, it's not good. It's very light in here, I have to say, with all the bulbs going and the screens going. But out there, grim, very grim. Anyway, pre-titles. You can tweet the show using hashtag VaperScene and already. Mr. Kitson, I'm not putting that up. Thank you very much. It's not happening. But VB has very kindly offered this, and that is Gary in control. Does he know how? Well, he's had some training. You've had some training, haven't you, mate?
A little bit, yes. Well, lots. But it's one of those things, like where, you sit and nod and listen, and you go, yes, I know that. And then when you're faced with it for the first time, you sort of go, what was that again?
Yes, I do that in meetings at work. Yeah.
Yeah. So do I.
Honest boss, I don't. If you're watching. Anyway, we've got some stuff coming up. We're going to look at this in the second half, which is the Kanger EMOW, which DD looked at a couple of weeks ago because, and I've been using this since last week. So I've got some VT on that for you, and I'm rather liking it, I must say. But first of all, I was scooting around the web, as I do, and I found some footage on Sky's website. So there's a few little reports kind of bundled together. So have a little look and tweet us your comments. Don't forget, hashtag VaperScene. Yeah, enjoy this.
It's nowhere near as harmful to non-smokers, but vaping in public, the fumes that e-cigarettes give off, can be just as unpopular. It's estimated there are 2 million e-cigarette users in the UK, but vaping is already banned in several major British food and drink chains and cultural institutions. Of those Sky News approached, Starbucks said it didn't want e-cigarettes to spoil the coffee house experience, whilst the National Portrait Gallery said it still wasn't clear how vaping fumes could damage the artworks. This coffee shop in Shoreditch is aimed at people who want to vape, but places like this are few and far between.
The World Health Organization came under a lot of criticism when it published its recommendations that e-cigarettes shouldn't be used indoors. A number of leading health experts came out to say that those findings were misleading and that in fact the toxins that are produced by e-cigarettes are so low that it doesn't pose a significant health risk.
It may look like smoke, but e-cigarettes largely give off water vapour, and the concentrations of carcinogens aren't anywhere near as toxic as smoking.
There's a very real danger you're going to send a lot of those people back to tobacco smoking in the first place, and then we've got NHS waiting lists building up again thanks to smoking-related illnesses and diseases. And as far as businesses are concerned, it's short-sighted of them because we know the science says that they don't harm other people.
Regardless of the scientific debate, several public health bodies say they understand why some companies want stronger controls.
So now what we're seeing is that there's this precautionary principle that employers and others, people in transport, are just taking a line that says we ban tobacco and we're going to ban these two because they don't know enough.
Campaigners argue that regulations must be proportionate and that a widespread ban on vaping in public risks alienating those people e-cigarettes are meant to help. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
E-cigarettes are seen by many as the safer way to smoke, satisfying the cravings for tobacco without the serious health implications. But now the World Health Organization is threatening to derail the $3 billion a year global business by questioning whether electronic cigarettes are safe after all.
Some brands at least contain some toxicants like cancer-causing agents like formaldehyde. In some cases, at the same level that some cigarettes, they contain also some heavy metals that are also cancer-causing. So they are not harmless.
And it's not only cancer. According to the WHO, there are a range of other health concerns with e-cigarettes, including eye and respiratory irritation, nicotine poisoning and damage to unborn babies. And it says the belief that the only byproduct of e-cigarettes is water vapour is also a myth, and that anything that might lure children into using them should be stopped. Though supporters of e-cigarettes say the WHO's hard line might backfire.
If you're going to give up vaping on the basis of this and not consume any tobacco products at all, that's fine. But if you're going to go back to cigarettes, that's most definitely not fine. And actually that's something that really, really concerns me, is that by putting out this negativity, it will scare smokers back into smoking.
At the Vape Lab in London's East End, customers can buy their e-cigarettes and use them, though the WHO wants to ban their use indoors in public. Nevertheless, regulars here won't kick their e-habit.
I can only talk from personal experience and how I feel when I use them compared to when I was smoking cigarettes, and I feel a hell of a lot healthier.
I think they're much better than just normal cigarettes, because just remember, normal cigarettes have tar and all sorts of chemicals inside them.
Really, for me, it's either this or smoking, and to me, I'd prefer, for e-cigarettes.
The World Health Organization says smoking traditional tobacco cigarettes is still more dangerous than the e-alternative, but the idea they're completely safe is at best questionable. David Bowden, Sky News.
Cleaner and safer than tobacco smoke, but the cloud from an e-cigarette still contains chemicals and it divides medical opinion. The World Health Organization wants the electronic devices banned indoors, but former smokers at this e-cigarette cafe insist they're looking after their health.
It opened my eyes to a chance to quit smoking, basically. It was the first opportunity that I'd seemed to believe that it was possible to live without cigarettes.
Like the taste of it, is a lot more benefits than smoking, a lot less chemicals. So I chose to go over to them, and then obviously it gives you everything a cigarette does, but without the ill effects.
British addiction experts have for the first time calculated the potential benefit of smokers making the switch. There are currently 9 million people in the UK using tobacco, but for every 1 million who switch to e-cigarettes, more than 6,000 premature deaths a year could be prevented. So if all the country's smokers used nicotine inhalers instead, 54,000 lives a year could be saved.
But what we know is that compared with a tobacco cigarette that you smoke, e-cigarettes are much, much less harmful. They contain far fewer toxins, both for the person who's using it and for people around a user. So we believe that they have potential to help smokers to stop smoking.
But concerns remain that electronic cigarettes could normalise smoking-like behaviour once again and attract non-smokers and children.
There is a real risk in the public misunderstanding the relative harm of electronic cigarettes compared to tobacco smoking. And the threats are that we don't regulate the products right, that we, that the advertising potentially sort of recruits more people into smoking, and we would never want to see that. So we need to get regulation right.
The Department of Health said it has no plans to ban vaping indoors, but there will be more regulation on the marketing, sale and content of e-cigarettes. Doctors are being caught out by the rise in vaping, and without long-term safety studies, there will be no clear health advice. Thomas Moore, Sky News.
Yes, and we're back in the studio. I was watching this screen and the Twitter feed at the same time. Yes, kind of mixed reports there, and someone in chat said, is VaporLab around the corner? It was Rob. Is VaporLab around the corner from Sky News HQ? I think Sky News is based in Isleworth at Gillette Corner, so it's the complete other end of London, but maybe they've got an office down there, I don't know. Now, Jan 0256, I'm just going back. She's worried that her sister will start smoking again with all this negativity, and a lot of people apparently are going back to smoking. Very Boring says, who wants to ban enjoyment of all kinds unless large piles of money are given to their paymasters? Well, you never know. You never know. Neil says, and that means many more will not switch. Yes. Leanna, we contain chemicals. We do. We're made up of a whole bunch of chemicals and all sorts of what have you. What's your take on that piece there, Gary?
Yeah, I think the most sort of, what are they saying in there, that 54,000 lives a year could be saved.
Yeah,
I think that sort of sums it up. It really, doesn't it? It's I think a lot of the that was one of the more positive pieces I've seen, to be honest with you. A lot of people that I speak to, obviously the negativity is out there, and I think the general consensus of a lot of people is, if you speak to them and you know they don't know nothing about vaping, and you pull out an e-cig, the first thing is, oof, yeah, a bit dodgy them, aren't they? They explode and they're not that great for you, and you're still addicted to nicotine. It's like, yes. I've been using them since sort of 2009. I've not exploded yet, and I feel a damn sight better. Thank you very much. But yeah, it's interesting to see different takes on it. I was down at the we do the Queen Elizabeth. We do a lot of their sites with work. And for the first time the other day, we went down there and there seemed to be a lot of use around, and it's a rehabilitation centre for people that have been seriously disabled and got disabilities, and a lot of the people there are actually using them inside. One guy come past us in his wheelchair vaping away, and I was with Louis at the time, who he uses them as well, and it was quite fun. The amount that we spotted on that facility during the day was impressive, and there's no negativity. Everybody's quite happy. But for something like that, where they're talking about a ban in public places, all of a sudden those people that are quite happily rehabilitating from a disability, they would lose that as well, wouldn't they? That's gone for them guys. So it's how can I put it? It's crap, really, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I get, whenever people talk to me, some people will say, well, you're still smoking. No, I'm not. And someone in chat there, and it's gone all the way past now, so I can't see who it was, but you know, it's not smoking, and we get this on a lot of reports. You know, it's not smoking. Let me look at Twitter. Matt Didier 77 spent the afternoon in playground with 3-year-old niece and vaped away on a mod. Did you get any grief, Matt? Tweet me back. Hi-Fi Stud, what's he said? Hi-Fi Stud says it would be very useful if media would actually do their homework. I think my font might be a tad too big for that. Yes. It says, do their homework and gather all the facts is the entire tweet. And Hi-Fi Stud also says, apparently BBC Spring Watch is having audio sync issues and we aren't. Yes. So that's all good. Let's see what else in chat has to say. Geordie Vapor might try and make a short film about vape subculture. Yes, that's a good idea. As much information that we can put out into the general population would, you know, encourage more people and will also dispel a lot of the media myths that are put out by certain publications and certain channels. That is for sure. And you know, we need a lot more good stuff out there as opposed to bad stuff. Isn't that right, Gary?
Yes, it is. I think there's a lot more that can be done, but it's getting people, you know, that are going to do it, really, isn't it? And obviously, it's how you put that out there as well. You know, hopefully, when we see the you know, the release of Andy Sutton's documentary that he's putting together, when that finally hits, you know, that should have quite a positive impact. But I suppose he's got it. It's got to be out there, isn't it? You know, and I think he's getting there with it. But yeah, definitely a lot more positivity is needed, because not everybody, you know, comes and looks at a forum or watches this or watches that. They're speaking to people in general, aren't they? And I think I've found that if you actually approach pretty much anybody who's got an e-cig, they're more than enthusiastic about it to stand there and talk to you for half an hour or so. If you ask them now, hopefully the people like that are out there are spreading the word as well, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The right needs to get across, basically. And just looking in chat there, and I am Siegfried. It doesn't bode well for e-cig users. Well, I think overall we're getting mixed media. What isn't helping us are the user error accidents that occur. But you're always going to get user error accidents. It doesn't matter whether you're plugging in a toaster or using an e-cig. You know, it's just that because e-cigs are specific at the moment, not toasters are quite hot as well, but obviously the whole e-cig thing is a hot topic. So, you know, the media will jump on anything that makes it look bad, and we need to jump on stuff that makes it look good. Let's go back to the Twitter feed, and Matt has tweeted back, and he got none at all. He got no grief at all in the park, and very boring. Has said, media gather facts. Why would they bother when they can just copy and paste? I really must sort out the font so it actually shows the whole blinking tweet. And yes, the Happy Vapor. Will you be reviewing the Wizard's sleeve tonight? No, I won't be. Yeah. So that's that one done and dusted. I'll let Dave Dawn do that on Thursday's show. Yes, so there's one for you, Mr. D, on the Haze Hour. And is it going to be a Halloween Haze Hour? And talking of Halloween, before we go to the ads, I had these pictures sent to me earlier on from Max Height, who's in chat. Hello, Max. And pumpkin that she's carved, and it actually vapes. You can't really see it too well, but there's a little video which I need to put into the mix, but it does actually send some vape out, which is rather nice. So well done for that, Max, because it is Halloween this week. So I expect Mr. Dawn to be in full costume on Thursday, which is obviously the day before Halloween, but there you go. I'm just looking at the chat. Yes, let me go into this other little bit of tweet. Davey says, as Andy and I discussed last night, we need more local vape meets to help awareness, and that is very, very true. As many local vape meets going on as possible, introducing new vapors to the community and what we can all do as the community. Right, let's go to the first set of ads, and while we're doing that, I might just change the font size so we can see the whole tweet. We'll see you in about 2 minutes. VaperScene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Often imitated, never duplicated. Award-winning service and products from cloud9vaping.co.uk.
Now it's back to VaperScene on Vapor Trails TV. VaperScene is sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And we are back in the room. Hello, hello, hello. Say hello, Gary.
Hello, Gary.
Good. Right, so on to part two. And VB tweeted during that little ad break, to type a long tweet or not, this is the question, lol. Hashtag VaperScene. Yes, you can, because I've changed the font during that short ad break. So yes, carry on with the tweets. I'm liking this. It's good. I do like it. But I'm looking at the Twitter feed and not the chat. So it's... however, it's very good. Anyway, let us move on before we go to the VT. And last week I saw this tweet from Dr. Russell Newcomb. And he tweeted that most people, 60%, would support a ban on e-cigarettes being used indoors. And a link to this little YouGov report. This is the story, ban e-cigarettes indoors, save public. So I looked at the PDF, and if I just get the link and put it into our Skype chat, then someone can please put it into our chat, that would be handy. Yes, I won't go through the whole blurb. What I will do is go to the actual results. And you'll see there at the bottom, would you support or oppose a ban on people using e-cigarettes in indoor places like restaurants and workplaces? And out of the weighted sample of 1,966 people, don't know why it was just that number, 60% support a ban, 27% oppose a ban, and 13% don't know. and of those 60%, if you look to the right of the corner that I've kind of got round in red, 30% are current smokers, 60% are former smokers, and 69% have never smoked. And the people who oppose a ban, 60% are current smokers, 26% are former smokers, and 19% have never smoked. And the don't knows, 11% current, 13% former, and 12% never. Interesting numbers, don't you think? That the people who are most want a ban are people who have never smoked. So they don't understand. What do you reckon, Mr. D?
Yeah, it's one of the things, isn't it? It's, you know, if they probably asked the same question about drinking alcohol, you know, they'd probably have the same replies from teetotals, wouldn't they? You know, it's, I don't know how much you can gauge from a survey like that. I think, I don't know. Don't trust them myself.
Don't trust them. Trust them as far as you can chuck them.
That's it, yeah.
Yes.
As far as you can. Nearest bin.
Yes. Yeah. And I really don't know what Dave has got today. If not wizard sleeve, then what about wizard sleeve juice? I haven't got any. So that's one for you, Dave, on Thursday. I'll leave that. I'll leave that entirely up to you. Yes. Let me just look at chat and see what they're saying. Yep, the link has been put in there. Yeah, it's an Acrobat file, PDF file, and there's lots of other stuff in there as well, which is interesting. And there's also a split of if they're UKIP or Lib Dem or Conservative or Labour, and ages and all kind of information. I don't know what Dave just put in chat there. Anyway, yes, so have a look at that and make up your own mind. I think the poll was too small for a start, and maybe the people they asked maybe picked a bit too much. I don't know. I don't know how they picked him, if it was at random or what have you. But yes, rather interesting to say the least. The split of the type of smoker, but also the region. London seemed to be most people who supported a ban. Yeah, Mr. D.
I always, you know, when you think, you know, if you were to pretty much go across every single vaping forum that we know, and asking in those and in chat and in everywhere, how many people were actually, you know, I don't know where they carried this survey out, but you know, I wasn't asked. I'm sure you weren't asked. I'm sure half the people in chat wasn't asked, and I'm sure if you put that up on a forum, if anybody in the forums were asked, I'm sure the answer would be no. So where the hell do they do these things? That's what I want to know.
I've no idea. No idea at all.
Because you would have thought at least, you know, you may well ask the question, but I'm pretty damn sure the answer would be no. You know, categoric no across all of them.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure if somebody was asked, it would be a post in a forum. You know, but obviously I've never known when they carry out these polls that vapers have actually included or asked. You know, you think there are how many now? Well over 1 million. I know they're not all on forums, but I don't know. It confuses the hell out of me. That's why I don't trust them. Categorically, just don't. You know, they seem to be selective, and they're almost stealth surveys, aren't they? You know,
stealth vaping and stealth surveys. Well, one more tweet before we go to the next bit of VT, and it's from Mr. Kitson, the Happy Vapor. Smoking is the cause of 99% of statistics. I don't know what you're drinking over there, Dave, but it must be good. It's all good. So let's go to the next bit of VT, and it's about the Kanger EMOW, which I've been using for the past few days. Have a little look at this, tweet your comments, tweet your questions, and we'll look at it when we come back. See you in a few. So this week I have for you an EMOW, a Kanger Tech EMOW, and Dave Dawn looked at this very briefly a few weeks ago on the Haze Hour, and Callum from Healthy Vape very kindly sent me one of these, so I'm going to have a little look at it, So let's open up the box and I'll show you what you get. In the box you have the EMOW itself, which is a 1300 milliamp battery with the atomizer on top. You get the instruction book, manual. You get a little authentication card, and it's you can do it two ways. You can put a drop of water on the little blob there, and it turns blue, and then when it dries out, it reappears. That tells you it's genuine. But also on the outside of the box, you will see the there we go. That's the little dot where you put the water, and that's where you scratch and then go to the website to put the number in, and that tells you whether you've got a genuine piece of kit or not. And of course I know this is genuine because it came from Callum. Also came in here with 5 atomizer heads. Now this is a proper Kanger USB adapter. The input is 5 volts DC and it outputs at 4.2 volts and 400 milliamps. And you'll see the design there. What I thought I'd do is just mirror what Gary Dibley did for Dave on last week's Haze Hour on Thursday. Now Gary tested those 2 USB adapters and he used an MVP with the USB output turned on. I've got an Anker 15,000 milliamp battery here, and it's got 2 sides to it. There's a 5 volt 2 amp output and a 5 volt 1 amp output. I've got the Kanger charging adapter plugged into the 2 amp output. I'm going to turn the power on and turn on my multimeter, which is not as fancy as a Fluke. It's just a Uni-T that I picked up from Maplins. I've got a couple of different variations. And neg on neg, pos on pos, and this is pumping out 4.21 volts. Now it says on it that it will pump out 4.2 volts at 400 milliamps, so it's very, very slightly out. 4.21 volts. And if I plug it into the 1 amp output on this battery and pick up my lead that I just dropped, and again neg on neg, I need some little clippy things really. I haven't got any. I need to get some. And there we go, 4.21 volts. So it's regulating it quite nicely. It helps you if you can keep it attached. There we go. So it is pumping out the voltage that it says it is. Yes. So there you go. I just thought I'd show you that. Now it's back to me again. Let's move that out of the way. And we'll take this out. It's quite light, I have to say. Let me zoom in for you. It is quite light. And it comes with this sticker on, and you won't be able to see the sticker really, but it says please remove the sticker before use, which is handy because you can't press the button. And then it says press the button 5 times within 2 seconds to activate the battery or turn it off. Press the button for 3 times within 1 second to charge the output voltage. To change the output voltage, and you can either have it at 3.7 volts, 4.2 volts or 4.8 volts. So this is variable voltage, but it's done button presses. It's a vented battery, as you can see, lots of vent holes there. So we'll just take off the sticker. I have already charged the battery, just so you know. So we'll take the sticker off, if I can get it. The cat got me this morning with one of her claws. I wasn't fast enough, but there you go, plaster on. So there we have the unit itself. It's actually really it's diddy, really diddy. As you can see, bottom comes off, and if I get the charger, you will see it has to screw in. It's like a 510 connection to screw in. screw that in, plug it in to your USB supply, which will be 5 volts, and this will regulate it out at 4.2 volts and 400 milliamps, as I said. So 5 clicks on, that is now on, and you can see, and that is set on the white light, which means it's pumping out 4.8 volts. So if we do 3 clicks, it's now gone to red. That means it's going out at 3.7 volts. If I do 3 clicks again, it goes to green. And now the output is 4.2 volts. 3 clicks again, goes to white, and up again to 4.8. So it's quite easy really. It's 5 clicks on, 5 clicks off. That's off. And on again. And then if you want to change the voltage, it's 3 clicks every time to step up or step down the voltage really. So it's now 3.7, 4.2 and 4.8. Yeah. So that's about as much as I can tell you about the battery. It's that easy really. Let's look at the tank. The EMOW tank, removable drip tip, 510 connection. Will another one fit? Let's just pull that out. Yeah, my other drip tips will fit that, but that doesn't look too bad. And there is a air control ring, and then this one, it's not slots. They're, if you can see that or not, they're little holes. Yes, you can. They're little holes, so you can close it off. I like that. Now, the tank I showed you last week, the Gladius, I found the air control ring a little bit loose. This is not loose. It's not stiff, but it's got some resistance to it, which is good. You're not going to catch it by mistake and change the voltage. So we'll take off the bottom section. Pretty standard fare. It's a Pyrex tank, so you don't need to worry about any citric juices, and that's quite a long pipe that fits up into your tank for your airflow, and it's so easy to change that round. You just unscrew it and screw it in, and this looks fairly easy to re-wick. I will have a go at one once one goes. So there you are. Screw it back in so it's just hand tight. Don't over tighten it because you might not get it out again, as has happened to me in the past. And as usual, fill in these bottom coil devices. Fill it from the bottom. Now what I've got is some Venus in Vapes, which is a halcyon haze juice from T-Juice. My very good mate Nigel Quinn gave me some of this at VapeFest 2014, along with some others. My favourite being this one, Northern Lights, which is absolutely lush, I have to say. And stop press, bit of news for you. I'm actually going down to T-Juice in November to do some video down at the new offices and the new juice making facility. So I should be bringing you some quite extensive footage from T-Juice sometime in November, probably towards the end. So halcyon haze, this is I think it's 18 actually. Let me just check the bottom. Oh, this is a 12. Strangely enough, yes, it says it on the bottle as well. 12 milligram. Yeah, which is quite low for me. However, you can bump up the old voltage and get plenty of flavour. So, as usual, squeezy squeezy from the side, missing the centre hole, otherwise you'll get it all over your hand, and we don't want that because it's a waste of juice. Not that it's terribly dangerous really, especially at 12 milligram. However, it's a waste of juice, and I'm a Yorkshireman and I don't like wasting stuff. So I'm just going to fill right up until I get to that top. There we go. Maybe a couple of drops more. Yeah, so I'm just about at the top of the tank. Just wipe that bit. We'll put the bottom back on. There we go. And you can see there, it's in there, and we'll just let that soak in for a moment or two. Yeah. Now with the tank on, it's a fairly light device, and it's not huge. If I just bring up the old ruler, if I do that and get it into shot for you, things have just moved, so it's at an angle for me, but you're seeing it straight. There we go. So with the drip tip on, it's just coming up to over 6 inches. Without the drip tip on, it is just over 5¼ inches long. Now, if I put it up against the e-cigs Supreme with the Delta tank on, no drip tip, you'll see, let me just zoom out a little bit, you'll see it's quite small compared to something like the e-cigs or the SVD with the drip tip on, but it's got the K-Fun light on. So it is quite small. And if I show you the difference between the EMOW and the Click, the CLK, with the Gladius tank on, see how it compares. So it is quite diddy. Yeah, quite diddy indeed. So let's give it a little go, because that juice will have soaked in by now. See how much vapour I can get out of it. And this is at 4.8 volts. Nice little producer, I have to say. So I'm going to continue to use this over the weekend, and then I'm going to bring you my findings on the show tonight. Yeah. So I'll catch you in a bit. Yes, there you go. That's the Kanger EMOW. And a couple of things to mention there. He says, leaning on his desk, but there you go. Yes, it did come with a 2-pin Euro adapter, so I won't be using that. You could, if you really wanted to, use a shaver adapter, but I don't suggest you do. You're better off just not using the adapter at all and using a 5-volt power supply or your PC USB port. As I showed in there, the charger does regulate it down to 4.2 volts. So that is all good. And I have to say, I've been talking to Gary and watching chat while that was going through. And Dave Dawn, you're a very naughty man. If you want to know why Dave Dawn's a very naughty man, you need to watch us live and come into the chat room, because then you'll see everything that goes on. I have to say, I'm really impressed. I'm using it on the middle voltage at the moment, the 4.2. But the 3-click to change voltage is rather nice. It's a 1300 milliamp hour battery, and they're $41.99 on Callum's website, Healthy Vape, which is not a bad price. It's very pocketable, I have to say. And yes, the drip tip was slightly skewed because I'd taken it out to put another drip tip in, and then didn't put it back in properly. But yes, and I've been quaffing away quite nicely on the juice, which is the Venus in Vapes 12 milligram, which is very nice, and it's not something that I would normally vape on. It's quite tobacco-y, and I like more the fruity and the sweet flavours. I do vape, but it is rather nice, but not as nice as Northern Lights, and that is probably my favourite of the Halcyon Haze juices. And as I did mention in there, I'm going down to see Nigel towards the end of November to do some filming down there of the new clean room and how the juice is made and all that, what have you. So that should be good. Very Boring has tweeted. Let me just put that tweet up. Does the EMOW go into sulks and stay in the room for long periods, being melancholy? It's not an emo, it's an EMOW, BB. What did you make of that, Gary?
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like it.
Looks a lovely pocketable little thing. As I was saying to you, I tend to use during the day for work and that the little eye test, but sometimes that with a Pro Tank 2 on, you sit down and it can stab you in the pulse you don't want to be stabbed in. So yeah, I might invest in one of those. Have a little play. Yeah, it looks the business, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Yeah. Next week I'll be looking at this, which is the Groove 2, very shiny. Call it the CP30 mod. Yeah, it's very golden shiny. It's the Groove 2, not the Groove 1 that had the battery issues, but we'll look at that next week. Anyway, we need to move along because we are going to be a little bit over already. I don't want to be as over as I was last week. So we're going to go into the second set of ads. When we come back from that, we've got the latest edition of MFD with the man himself. We'll see you in 2. VaperScene is proudly sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids.
Vapers, do you love discovering new e-liquids? Tell Dripper the types of flavours you like. Send you 5 gourmet juices each month. Experience new and exclusive flavours, all with a money-back guarantee and free delivery anywhere in Europe. Dripper.co.uk.
RY4 Radio.
And now it's back to VaperScene on Vapor Trails TV. VaperScene is sponsored by Health E-Vape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquids. And welcome indeed back to part 3 of this week's edition of VaperScene with myself and Mr. Gary Dibley. Say hello, Mr. Gary Dibley.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
We're already running over because we've waffled, as we do.
Yeah.
So we're going to go straight into this week's edition of MFD. But before we do, actually, no, before we do, you saw the trail for the knees meet, and Max Height in chat sent me this picture earlier on, and this is a humongous amount. I think it's 80 bottles of juice that she's got from Liberty Flights, which she is going to be taking to the knees meet to distribute out to folks. So that's definitely worth going up to the knees meet. I'm going to try as much as I can to get there, but I'm in Scotland next week and I'm back on Friday, so I don't know. I will try my best to get up there and see everybody, and see if I can grab some of that dandelion and burdock juice, Max. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to this week's edition of MFD with Mr. Gary Dibley. See you in a few.
Right, we're back down on the bench this week, and I've got a variety of things. I have a sore finger. I've been running it up and down on the inside for ages of the box with some 150 grit sandpaper. Now I'm just coiling it up like so, and the reason I'm doing that is because my Vamo head, my new sprung loaded Vamo head, wasn't lining up properly. It was going in and slightly askew with. So I think I've found where the sticky point is, and I've just been rimming it for a little while. I've got a tiny little bit, I think, and what it is this lip down here that was stopping it to go in dead central. And the 150 grit is giving it a rough up as well, because I'm gonna be firstly gluing this in to get a first fix, and then probably what I'll do is epoxy behind it. So I've just been running it round in there, and realistically I've got an old Carto, an old clearomizer on the top there, and where it was tight before, it should now sit in, and I should be able to, I'll use the Carto when I'm fixing this in place, get that in a position where we're all now sort of flush. But anything, it takes a little bit of work. Now it's looser now. If I was to let go of that, it would drop through. I'm going to use a couple of different types of fixing method when I put this in place. To start with, I'm going to use, let me show you. For woodworking, there's different types of super glue, various different types, and it's not like your standard super glue. They come in various, if you like, not strengths, but viscosities. So this one here is a thin viscosity. Now effectively that, I don't know if you can see, is almost like water, whereas this one here, which is a medium viscosity, is a bit thicker. And then you've got thick, obviously. Now the difference is between those, the thin will take sort of 30 to 40 seconds to set off, gives you more time to work, this, that and the other. This one here sets off in about 7 seconds. When you go up to thick, that's probably about 2, 3, 4 seconds if you're lucky. So this one gives you a bit more working time. So I'll probably do my first fix with this, ease some of that in afterwards, and then epoxy around the top of that so it's nice and solid in there. And this stuff, it bonds very well to wood. The other thing I have to do, which I noticed on this new Vamo head, is it does have a removable screw cap, and we're going to have to effectively get that fixed in place because I don't want this coming loose. So I'm going to apply a couple of dabs of glue, if you can get it, you can't even get it on, around there. You get the picture. No, I'm going to do the bugger. You sod. There we go. So I'm going to apply some glue, ease that up, let it set, and that'll be in place.
and then I could be able to position this up with the thin stuff first, which gives me time to finally adjust and move it, make sure it's all level, it's all straight, and then set it off. But that, as you can see now I'm holding it in place, is going to look nice in there. There is going to be an ever such a slight gap that can't be avoided because I've had to sand it a bit to get it straight as such, but still a beautiful box. I'm going to have to rough up the outside of this, so I've got something for the glue. If I put that in there, it's just going to be a smooth surface. I'm going to have to rough the hell out of this, and I'll probably do that by probably cutting some grooves in with a file or something. So it gives, you know, rough edge of a file, just go around the outside of that and put some scores in it so that the glue against the wood has got something to set with. And like I say, background here, I'll backfill this with epoxy in between the switch and all that sort of stuff so it is solid. We're back on the bench. This is where I left you the last time we looked. Lots of wires going everywhere. What I plan to do today is try and get the board as such in place, and I need to look at my little switches, and I need to look at getting those soldered up with some playroom to get the board in. It all sounds simple. I'm thinking as I'm going, as per usual. It's been a long hard day, but that is where we're looking at getting it. What I'm going to do is probably pop away, work out roughly where I need these wires. Now you don't necessarily need to see this. It's a case of literally just gauging up that I need that much wire to come to the switch, cutting it off, tinning it up, and then I'll pop back, I think. I'll show you what I mean. I'll do one first. Let me get some cutters. This is where it starts to get a bit, this is the piecing together bit. I want to get the board in first. Once the board's in place, I know that this connector is not going to impede on the board because the board will be buried and go down inside there. At the moment it's catching, but I need to have a look at that. But all I'm doing now is making sure I've got minimum wire that I need. So it'll be a case of bending it round, looking at where it needs to go, working out roughly how that can fold back in and where that's going to sit, and go from there. I know somebody said about they would like to see the, and I've just buggered that wire, the hot gluing procedure. And what we'll have to, not the hot gluing, the, sorry, I've just buggered a wire. Totally. That wouldn't have worked, would it? That's where you've got to be so careful with these things. It's so easy to get a dry joint, and that was a little tiny dry joint where it had been bent about and all that sort of stuff, but it would appear to be solid now. I'll double check that in a minute. Let me pop away. I'm going to cut some of these wires. I'll come back when we're in a position to solder them in place. Back in 2. Right, well I'm excuse me, done some cutting and bits and pieces, and one of the things I've realised when I'm down here is once all of these wires are in place, it's going to be near damn bloody impossible to work out what. I'll show you what I mean in a minute, but effectively we have got our main switch here. We've got our main voltage input here, but all I'm going to see when these are in place is random wires. So what I've done with the Sharpie is with the one that's going out, I'll show you. Let me show you that in a tick. I've got my grips in, and the way that I'm going to have to do this first is to solder on the down switch, which goes over to this side. Now effectively doing this cock-handed is absolutely ridiculous. I'm just going to move everything close so I've got it. But what I'm going to have to try and do is solder on my down lead first, which is a down on the board, and this goes on this side of the board. So I'm going to do that first and then try and bring the POS across. I've tried to keep these wires as short as possible to give me as little you know, cord cable in there as I can, because I don't want that much of it. I'm just gonna, and you're really gonna have to excuse fingers for this. I'm gonna try and just bend this one where I need it before I solder it up. So to get a good grip on it, just tin up my tip, and I'm just gonna dab that one home. I'm just gonna bring in my other switch wire, get it roughly in place, tin up my tip, and dab that home. So I've got a down switch in place. Like I said, I buggered knows how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to now try to position. I might have to release it from the jaws. There you go, look at that, that's going to hold. And I've just buggered me pin on my switch. It's sodding annoying. I'm going to have to just quickly resolder that on, because while I was doing that, me pin on my switch come off. So I've just got to put that back on. Bear me 1 second. So I might have to test this switch again. That's come ridiculously loose and hot. That's back on. It's never easy working in these tight spaces. Never easy at all. I just need to get down there and do a snip. And I might have to test that switch before I go any further. Let me just grab the multimeter. Bear me 1 second. It's coming. I've got a feeling that we've just buggered a switch. That's why I bought backups. I think we have. No, we haven't. Happy days. But what you've got to realise when you're working on something like this, there's only so much movement a solder joint will take, so you've got to roughly get everything where you need it before you get it in place. That didn't make any sense at all. You don't want to move it much once you've got it soldered on effectively, and what I'm having to do is just position this down in there. As you can see, you don't want to be buggering about, putting a lot of stress potentially on the joints, particularly on the switch points where it actually makes contact with the switch. Hold on, sorry about this. So we've finally got a board sort of going in. Don't know how much of this you can see. Probably not much, to be honest with you. This is very incredibly tight, and I'm just going to dab that one. Yes, down on there. So I've got my uppy and downy switches in place. Now realistically what I need to do is lever this up into situ. But before I do that, I'm gonna do some jiggery pokery with the wires, as you can see down in there, because that's got to lever up, and I've got to position the wires about. Now the one thing that I've done with this, because I know this is a main ATI output, what I've done is put some marking down there, so I know that the regardless of whether I cut that off, that's my ATI output. Now the power input is going to be coming out the bottom, ATI out the top, so I shouldn't get these two mixed up. But what I'm going to do just to make sure with this one, is actually just put some lines down it lengthwise, so I know that's my power in. It's just a case of remembering how the hell up. Now luckily I've got a video to go back to, but if you can see, there's some lines lengthwise down here, and that is my power in, which will go to my battery connector. It's all good stuff. We are getting there, very, very slowly. I think what I need to do, once I get this board eased up and positioned in, I'll probably get that glued and ready. Now all I intend to do with this is probably just put a little bit of I don't know, a little epoxy around the outside just to seal it in. What I need to check, and I didn't check before, because our new VAMO connection is so much longer than the other one, I'm not sure I'm going to get the clearance when the board's in situ to get that home. I may have to revert to this type, and if I do, I've got a stainless one that I can put in, but I won't know that until the board is. There we go. I've got the switch coming very shortly. Now, providing the switch lands on Monday, I should have the board up in here, and it is then literally a case of fixing the switch, which I may do before I come back and show you the final connections with the battery holder. But even a simple VAMO board can be challenging, shall we say? Challenging because I've been away for a long time, and I've not done anything of this nature for ages, and it's a learning curve for me, and at times it has been a stress, should we say? Easiest way of putting it. Before I cut this off, you may have seen on the Haze Hour where we looked at the chargers and bits and pieces. The battery that I used, this e-cig was a battery. Now, when I come back in the workshop the day after we did that test, with all different types of voltage, and the other end, 5-volt charger and all that sort of stuff, I could see a faint blue light in the corner of the workshop, and I went up to the battery, and it was this. This was permanently on. Now, every time I press that, it's doing lots of weird flashing, staying on and doing all sorts. Something during that process has damaged this battery. As you can see, that's permanently on, nothing attached, nothing. So I may have to repeat this test, because if you didn't see it, I would like to see. The one thing I didn't do was check the battery afterwards. Now what I've noticed is that light's on fully. If I screw a Kato on, it will flash and go off. As soon as I press a button, I'm getting lots of flashes. Now, it's not a short in the ATI connection, I know that for sure. Something during that pushing of the charging has damaged the circuitry of this battery, and it is doing what it should do and saying, bugger off mate, I'm not going to work. Like I say, we need to investigate that a bit further. I'm going to pass you back to Marco in the studio. We will nail this one soon. I'll catch you. I'm probably here. I don't know if I am. If I'm not, happy days. You're all smiling. If I am, sorry if I'm waffling. Like I am now. Time to end.
Yes, that was this week's edition of MFT. Not MFD, I've got MFDs on the brain. Multifunction devices on the brain, I do not know why. Yes, it was MFT with Mr. Gary Dibley. And he's just going to just say something on that last piece. Over to you, Gary.
Quickly, I noticed a couple of comments in chat. What did we do with the battery and this and the other? If you go into our sort of archive of shows and watch the Haze Hour from last week. We actually put a couple of chargers, with the battery. It was a 5-volt charger, a 4.2 volt charger, into the ego. I then pushed the voltage, which would appear to have bugged the battery. We are going to be looking at that in a bit more detail. The battery's definitely not bin fodder. It's going to be dissected and used and abused a bit more. That's what I say. Have a look back at the Haze Hour from last week, and you'll see exactly what we did with that. But there will be more coming.
Marvelous.
There we go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dibley. Right then, we are over time because Gary and I have waffled, as we do. But, you know, it's all good, isn't it? It's all good. We do like to have a bit of a waffle. So let me just fill you in on what's happening the rest of the week. Tomorrow, of course, it's the show with no name with our very own Matt. And then on Thursday, it's the Haze Hour. Is it a Halloween Haze Hour, Dave? I don't know. You'll have to tune in at 9 o'clock to find out, to see what Dave and Keith do. Yes. Sunday, it's Dave's Tackle Box with Mr. Dave Kitson plus guest, maybe? Tune in and find out. Monday, it's the boys, it's Davey and Andy with Drips and Tips. And Gary and myself, this man here, will be here next Tuesday at 9 o'clock for our next edition of VaperScene. Say goodbye, Gary.
See you later. It's been emotional, as you say.
Thanks for watching, guys. And thank you for all the tweets and comments in chat. We're loving that. It's really, really good. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching.
Catch you later. VaperScene is proudly sponsored by Health eVape, UK purveyor of e-cigarettes and Pure Perfection e-liquid.